All right, you guys know exactly what we're here for. Let's not waste any time. Let's get right into next week's game plan and the market lesson that I've got for you guys today. It's June 28th. We've got a couple more days here in June before we start the new month of July. And I've got a couple different setups here, a couple mean reversion setups, a couple potential breakout setups, and I'm going to tell you why I say potential. Everything is potential in the markets, nothing's given. But breakouts are an especially potential type of trade. Reason being, a breakout trade isn't something that you want to go in and predict. If you predict breakouts, you're going to be having a tough time staying profitable and making money in the markets. You don't want to predict breakouts. You want to time breakouts and buy them when the stock's already showing strength. We don't buy into weakness. We don't buy into consolidation, just hoping. Why would I buy and just hope something goes up? No, I want confirmation before I buy. And that's why the best breakout setups that you're going to see, they happen when the broad market's either gone through a correction phase, okay, a multi-week, multi-month pullback, okay, or the broad market has just broken out of a base. Those are the two times you're going to have the best returns with your breakout trades, guys. So the two charts that I'll show you here at the end, really the three charts I'll show you at the end, UPST, NUAI, and NLST. These are, keep in mind, these are breakout charts. And there's a certain type of market condition that's much more favorable to breakout charts. And I just don't see us in that market right now. All right, when I start with QQQ and SPY, I'm breaking down the broad market, the big money. All right, you can look at NASDAQ. That's really all you need to look at is NASDAQ. But I'll look at QQQ. That's kind of how I, take a look at the broad market. And I see a wide range here. I see a wide range from 750 clear down to 690. None of that's, defined. I also don't see this as a correction phase, okay? For us to truly correct, I'd need to see us lose 690 and kind of have a little bit more of a volatile speed up to the downside. That'd be an A+ scenario. If we were to, kind of pull back this week, dead cat bounce, and then really wash out down into the 660s, 650s, I'd love to see some action like that. That'd be incredibly healthy. But in the meantime, we also could do something like this and have a short-term bounce off the 50-day, take out the highs of, the middle of last week, rebound into this gap, and then kind of sell off from there. So, again, as traders, we don't predict. We simply react to what the market gives us. And these are different conditions that we could possibly see next week. SPY actually took out those lows. Really a much different candle in QQQ and SPY last week. SPY with clear relative highs compared to, QQQ, that is, guys. Excuse me. QQQ, tech sector showing clear relative strength compared to SPY. The broad market took out the lows of the previous 2 weeks, put in this big fat candle. I want to make sure that that's right. Did we really go that low in SPY? Man, that last 5-minute candle in SPY. Unless that's a misprint. I don't know if you guys can confirm if that was a misprint or if that trading actually took place. It looks like we had a big data wick or something on the last minute of market close. I don't know, guys. That's kind of strange, but it didn't happen on QQQ. It only happened on SPY. I guess it did happen on QQQ, but we were already trading higher in the range. So I don't know. That's just something to keep an eye on. SPY with a big, giant low wick on Friday's trading. Took out those lows. So let's get into the setups. Again, this isn't constructive. None of this is foot on the gas for these swings. But the good news is your mean reversion trades, this strategy I like to trade, it doesn't really rely on the broad market to set up in any type of way. Mean reversion trades can work in almost any type of market conditions, especially when they're A+. Now, both that I have right now, they're not A+ yet, but there's some scenarios that could take place that could lead them to be, A+ setups. Baba, maybe a shallow bounce beginning of the week, and then another big washout to end the week. And we could get back here into capitulation mode, some fearful selling, and people looking to get out of their positions. We're already trading to the low end of that green Bollinger Band. And for that reason, I have to keep this on watch every single day that it trades here. I went long on Friday. Took like a 4-point bounce on Baba. That's nothing crazy. That's definitely not a home run trade. Something in the way of a base hit. But it was a nice trade. And I probably should have swung some. I didn't. I should have swung some because it's definitely got more room tomorrow. To move higher up near this 100, 95, 100. So I like Baba for a short-term bounce, but the scenario I'd like to see even more is a short-term bounce and then a steep sell-off for me to capture a larger bounce on Baba in the future. MU, nothing. There's no action here. Not yet, that is. We're still very extended, trading up into all-time high in the top of the green Bollinger Band range. I'd like to see us potentially have a couple gaps up to start the week this week. This rising volume is excellent. This is exactly what we need to see for our blow-off short thesis. Couple gap up days, back up into all-time high territory, 1250, 1260 range. And, stay tuned for timing on a short trade on MU. UPST, NUAI, and NLST, these are all breakout trades. They have to be less than 4 stars. 3.5, 4 stars at the most. There's just no way. These are C+, B- trades, but I'm bringing them to the table because if the broad market was setting up favorably for breakout trades, these would be 4.5 to 5-star trades in my opinion. UPST, I love this contraction on the 50-day. I love the consistent higher lows. These candles could be a little bit tighter up here at the top of this range. We've got some high wicks and some not so clearly defined candles. Nevertheless, the range is very tight here. It's very defined. And above 34, 34.5, I could visualize. I think there's room in this chart up here into the 40s. Okay. So if it gaps up tomorrow, I don't chase. There's not a chance I chase. I'd like to see this thing get a little tighter. Maybe a smaller range from 33 down to 31. Maybe put in another higher low and then kind of stair step our way up for that 34 break. And I'd look to hit some right at the money or maybe a little out of the money calls on something like UPST. That would be my vehicle of execution would be the call options on something like this. You got to know when to trade options and when to just take shares. On some of these stocks that trade, 15 to 50 bucks and they're very liquid, there's a lot of volume. The spreads on the options aren't as drastic as, say, something like NLST. These two $4 stocks that aren't as look at this. They only trade 2.5 million shares a day. Something like UPST, it's likely to trade up in the 7.5 to 10 million in shares. In UAI, I'm not touching options. This thing barely is lucky to trade, 5 or 10 million shares in a day. So, UPST, I would trade the options. I would trade in the money or just right at the money on the breakout. In UAI, I also like the look of this, this flag, this pennant pattern that's forming. We're trying to break out of this range. Volume's increasing as we do so. Pullbacks on NUAI are absolutely in play. As long as we keep putting in higher lows on the daily, show you guys here. As long as we kind of keep trending up right here, NUAI's, it's really the best technical looking chart. And the volume's starting to increase as we shape up here and put in higher highs. It's the best breakout looking chart, but again, the breakout market, is it in right now? I don't know yet. I don't know if the broad market's favorable to breakouts, but in UAI, I have a skin in the game position just in case this thing wants to go. NLST, kind of the same thing, no position. But if the broad market stabilizes over the next week, if this puts in another series of higher lows, if this puts in another series of tight contraction at the beginning of this week, look out for NLST because it's got that nice pennant looking pattern for a break back up to the highs, $3.5 to $4. That one, of course, I'm obviously playing shares. So I'd play shares on NLST, shares on NUAI. I'd look call options on UPST. And that's all I got for you guys today. Just kind of a lower time frame look at this NLST on the 1 hour. You can really see how tight this base is. Nice flag forming here. Kind of coming off this this upward move from $1.50 up to $4. So this thing has, relative range. It's got relative range. And that's super important. Another thing I look at before I trade some of these things is the ADR, right? The average daily range is the ADR. And you want to trade stocks that they have high relative ADR, and typically you want to look at the 20-day daily range, right? So this thing trades on average 36 cents a day. Alexa, 36 cents is what percent of $3?
36 cents is 12% of $3.
So there you go. So it's
36 cents divided by $3 times 100 equals 12%.
Oh, she always gives too much information. Alexa, too much information.
Noted.
Thank you. So 12%, this is a stock with an ADR of 12. Compared to something like Apple, something like Amazon, you're looking at an ADR around 2 to 3. We're looking to, double our accounts. We want to scale our accounts, especially when we're trading just common shares. We need to trade stocks with higher ADRs. Stocks that move. Keep me out of the bullshit stocks that move 6% in a year, the Disneys. I don't want them unless it's an IRA. Right? If I'm going to try to trade an active account, put me in stocks with high ADRs. You want to trade stocks with ADRs from 6 to 12 like this. But that's it, guys, for today. Just a lesson on where my head's at, some trades I'm looking to capitalize on. Stay tuned for more updates end of the week.